Hey, peace, world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Morning Wood, bite down boxing. We'll get into a little bit of that in just a second. Obviously, last night, the big story is the return of the NFL. I thought it was a few games on last night. I was slightly off. There was actually 11 games that went off last night. I'm only going to touch on one. The Washington Redskins. It's my squad. I'm not going to go full homer on it and in depth in it. I just want to throw out there that the kid has the goods. Dwayne Haskins, I know it was a couple interceptions, the pick six to another rookie. Mac Wilson was a guy who I thought was a can't-miss guy, despite the fact that he went into the fifth round. I guess we had Foster at that time, so we didn't think that we needed, a linebacker. But I was really hoping I could have just taken Mac Wilson and been good, as the centerpiece of the draft. But anyway, the interceptions, don't look great. You can look at Peyton Manning and see all of his interceptions in his first year. They're going to happen with a young quarterback. But the one thing that I'll call out, he was 2 of 3 for 59 yards on his first possession. And when is the last time you've seen the Washington offense throwing the ball down the field? He had a completion of 27 yards or 25 and 37. No, 32. I think 32 and 27 yards for the for these passes. That dinking and dunking and that controlled game with Alex Smith, and then the arm issues with Colt McCoy. We're just getting Keenum here and kind of don't know how they were going to use him, but we can get the ball down the field now. Now we got to get some wide receivers that can help him out. But I just saw a big-time quarterback. His command, his presence on the field, he can do everything that you need to be done. I also saw some flashes of mobility that looked a little better than what I thought, even though I saw him here in Columbus. He doesn't need to start right away, but he's going to continue as this preseason goes on, he's probably going to continue to show that the upside is there and that it's greater than what we can get from Keenum and McCoy. That's probably just going to be a fact. Anyway, a little entertainment notes. You can see I got this Make Hip Hop Great Again tee on. The new Ghostface album is coming. I don't know if you've seen these singles, the 2 videos, the second one, Party Over Here, and then the first one, For Conditioning. But Ghostface Killah is one of my favorite. He's arguably my favorite guy doing it. Just the creativity in the albums. Usually having an album concept of some kind. The energy, even though he's an aging MC, the energy and doing new things, his ear in terms of the production that he aims for with his projects, the world that he's built, over all of these different collaboration albums and his aliases and all of this stuff. He's a fun guy to me. And I see a lot of honesty in his music a lot of times. In the storytelling is a little over the top and whatnot. But Conditioning was about a home invasion, heist. Party Over Here is the celebration after that with his crew who he pulled it off with. And then there's another video that just dropped, a teaser of another video that dropped this week. I don't remember the name of the song. I wasn't as big on this one as the first 2. But the album is coming. It's called Ghostface Killahs. And he had the track release or the track listing on his Instagram page the other day. I think about 15, 16 songs, I want to say. I saw that his son was back in the picture, Sun God. I was thinking about him a couple of weeks ago. Like, what happened to kid? I mean, he wasn't a big time rapper per se, but he could spit. Doesn't have the personality of his dad really, But I just was wondering why he had been absent from a couple projects in a row, I believe, for Ghost. But I'm very excited about that project. I don't know what the release date is. I think it's within the next week or two. But like I said, I've enjoyed the two singles. Conditioning was unexpected, and the video concept was dope. And then, like I said, Party Over Here is just good East Coast boom bap. And I don't think it was a sample driven song. So that was pretty interesting. Little club environment, for the nothing you ever gonna hear in the club anywhere, but I like the concept. Let's get into a little bit of boxing real quick. Before, did you see the football? The kid Wade from the Buffalo Bills, the rugby player, and then this Sheehy Giuseppe kid from for the Cleveland Browns that had to return. I guess runs like a 4.38 or something. And then the Wade cat, his first touch was a 65-yard scamper for a touchdown. Just some interesting, training camp stories that the NFL has from time to time. See what happens with both of those guys moving forward. I guess Sheehy Giuseppe was kind of homeless and whatnot. But let's get into it, man. Some bite down boxing topics here. I'll start with the Virgil Ortiz and Antonio Orozco is the fight on this weekend. There's also the ESPN Plus card that will no longer have Frampton, so Jason Sosa, I believe, is up in the main event there. And then it's based in Philadelphia, so you got a lot of the Sonny Canto is a heavyweight to continue to watch. But the Ortiz and Orozco is probably the fight that I'll focus on the most. It's a good test for Ortiz. He's mentioned that he's going up to 147 to welterweight. He's an interesting guy, an interesting fighter because he has such a different style and vibe to him, in my opinion. But I haven't really seen him as a welterweight and a difference-making welterweight. And I'm not trying to get into any stereotypical things and whatnot. Right now, he's mainly hunting. He's doing a lot of hunting and stalking. And at some point, it's going to be somebody that stands their ground and pushes back. And we have to see what his defense is and what other parts of his game are. But he's an economical fighter, in my opinion. Not a lot of wasted movement. Sticks to the fundamentals. Stays sharp. All the pluses are there. Good power. I think he's knocked all of his opponents out, I want to say. So good power. But we'll have to see how that translates against the better guys in the division. But like I said, this Orozco fight, I'm familiar with him personally from the Ramirez, his fight with Ramirez, which was really good, maybe 7 or 8 months ago. It's a good test. So that's Saturday night in a main event. Like I said, I'll take a lot away from this one and what I see from Ortiz. He's got a little size advantage, height advantage on Orozco. Speaking of 140, it's very interesting for Regis Prograis to come out and challenge, issue a challenge to Adrian Broner. And that's kind of one of the things that I've been saying for a while with some of the lovers and stans of Adrian Broner was that he's just been kind of lingering around at 140 and not really calling out where the people with actual hardware, the people with straps, he was never mentioning any of these guys. So it's like, if you're just trying to make events, okay, but at the event, where you are in your career, you should be fighting for titles. You should be trying to get titles. You had the money fight with Garcia, or Mikey Garcia. Then of course you got the money fight with Manny Pacquiao. But for your own business, you should be trying to get your hands on another belt. And I had never heard him calling out any other guys to really get him in that picture. But now I guess he came out and said some things about Ramirez and Prograis, and Prograis actually responded. And I would actually like to see that, to be honest with you. I would like to see him be in there with a live body at 140 with the interesting cat, with the champion at 140, and we get the answer. You know, the jury will no longer be out. We get the answer. Are you or aren't you? Which my mind is already made up, but for those that keep running out here and defending the guy, the apologists and all of that of AB, I think we get a final answer. Another quick note: Jerron Ennis Boots out of Philadelphia. He will be on the untelevised portion of a showbox card coming up from Oklahoma, August 23rd. It's great to see that brother back. Unfortunately, it won't be televised. Maybe they'll put it on the Showtime YouTube channel or something. But good to see him back in action, and hopefully this is a step forward towards his activity picking up and getting on with his career. The elephant in the room, boxing wise, one of them. There's also the Golden Boys situation with this with this workers, with its talent. But in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, the story has been that that Saudi Arabia has become a front runner to land the rematch of Anthony Joshua and unified heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz Jr. And I get the business side of this. I get a lot of this. You know, the Rivas situation, the Dillian White and the UCAD, the BBBOC situation, all of that really, toppled the efforts of doing this rematch in the UK for Hearn and AJ. I guess my question is, if this thing does go to Saudi Arabia, what would be the introduction back to America for Anthony Joshua? If he's even able to get his belts back, if he's even successful in defeating Andy Ruiz, and if that doesn't develop into a trilogy of some kind. But so I'm getting ahead of history a little bit. But how would you even introduce him back to America? It almost seems like maybe New York wasn't the right place to go. Maybe a camp in Miami wasn't the right thing to do. But it seems like, and I'm sure, Saudi Arabia is probably helping offset the cost of this thing and making, the numbers work for Matchroom, Hearn, and probably DAZN in some regards. But it probably doesn't help with subscriptions and with building the event to the magnitude that it had the chance of going to. Although I have said afternoon boxing should be something that we consider. With boxing kind of reinventing itself and having a renaissance and whatnot, and a resurgence and all of this money and everything, midday fights, circa wide world of sports, maybe that's not such a bad thing to reconsider. So for me, in some regards, a fight that comes on in the middle of the day wouldn't be that bad. But again, here the optics in the eyes of many, the perspective of many is just that this isn't a winning situation. But that's what it could be. And I get it. I think short term, like I said, with the business side of this thing, you have a guy in Joshua who the earning potential is significant. Earning potential was still out there, with only this one loss. If he's able to get this win, even I think a loss by a decision in a good fight, he could probably still go on and do some things. But I think in the short term is why they're trying to make sure that they give him the best chance, the best opportunity of regaining his titles and proving to the world that this was just a slip up, etc., etc., etc. and then you can kind of get beyond this and then come back, in 2020 and try to move forward with whatever you want to do with his career long term. But again, it just seems like this doesn't answer many of the confidence issues, the psyche issues, the fact that in boxing, like I've said before, with the American Gangster quote from Frank Lucas and Denzel Washington, sometimes in this world you are what you are, and so like I said, this is a bit disappointing. One thing, last note before I get on out of here, I don't know if many saw this, but John Skipper, the guy that's running everything for DAZN, I was reading a piece on him the other day. I was thinking of doing a longer video maybe this weekend about, kind of apologizing for boxing. The fact that DAZN came in and has tried to put inject all of this cash, and the platform and the exposure and trying to distribute boxing and tried to do right by the game. And now because some fights haven't went their way, this rematch being one, the Canelo fights, the inability to get the Triple G fight done, I don't think I think the Derevyanchenko fight is moving forward, but mainly some of the glaring shortcomings, and it's all being blamed on DAZN like they're just idiots. And while they may not know the game of boxing, I won't sit here and say that we're not seeing. I'd be hard pressed to say we're not seeing some of the symptoms that led to HBO getting out of this racket. And if you look at the Peter Nelson cat and kind of got a vibe what his personality is, nobody wants to deal with some of these issues that DAZN has encountered. And so Skipper was awarded this Executive of the Year from something called multichannel.com. I guess it's a website or a magazine, online magazine talking about TV, the TV industry, the broadcast industry, what have you. And so Skipper was just saying that, he came out and said it. He said, the scheduling aspect of boxing, the inability to set a year-long schedule hurts what we want to do and how we would want to present boxing. And I think these situations with this rematch with the Golovkin and Canelo fight, without being able to get these key tentpole fights on the calendar, it's hard to have expectations for subscribers. And basically he went on to say that if you read between the lines, while they might have put $220 million, a budget out there for boxing this year, the real objective was to get into the market to be able to make a bid on these bigger, the rights to the big sports, NBA, NFL. There was a chance to do something with the NFL this year with the Direct TV package, the Sunday package, being able to be bidded on. It was an opt-out for the NFL and for Direct TV. The NFL, they've chosen to go ahead and do this year and keep the deal, the exclusive deal. But in 2020, I think, that deal ends, and then other entities can come in and bid on, handling some of these games. So I say all this to say, we can criticize DAZN and say that they're idiots and question this and say oversight this and they didn't know what the hell. You can have all the criticism in the world. But I mean, some of those deals were long term. I mean, the Canelo Alvarez deal was 5 years. So, maybe that is a hint that they had a longer term interest in the sport. But again, if they're able to secure deals with any of these other with the big sports, they could have a waning interest in the game too, especially if they're going to encounter situations like this. Like I said, I don't know how anybody sits around and roots for Canelo to tell DAZN and to tell, I'll do what I want to do, I'll fight who I want to fight. For a company to come in and eliminate the concerns about money and pay you top dollar amongst the biggest athletes in the world. You fighting twice a year and making $30 more million than a LeBron James. You're making $30 more million in a year than Neymar and Neymar and Ronaldo and Messi. I get it. We give you some leeway in doing what you want to do because you do know this sport. But at the end of the day, we gotta take care of the low hanging fruit too. And so, like I said, I don't sit here and really. I'm not I don't get paid. I said this. I don't get paid from DAZN, but again, I don't know how they're the bad guys in this. And me as a consumer, as a boxing fan, I want more boxing. And DAZN has tried to deliver more boxing. They've done so. I don't want everybody I don't want everybody at Top Rank. I don't want everybody at the PBC. I don't want everybody at Golden Boy. If all of the fighters are in one area, that's gonna clog things up. It's gonna drive up costs. And it's not going to be better, if there's this monopoly, quote unquote. So another player in there doing the right thing, in my opinion, was a good thing. And like I said, it's like let's mock them, let's clown them for the struggles that they've had. But this is all emblematic, in my opinion, of why HBO was like, look, man, we're not going through all of this stuff, this BS. To operate in this game, and that's something with very last point with Dana White coming online with this Zuffa boxing, targeted for October, and him coming out with the campaign or the mantra of the best fight the best. We're gonna see, because it's a lot of moving pieces in getting the best fighting the best. Cost being one of them. But the willingness of the players, to go along with the script, we'll see. We'll see. So look, man, I done went double what I wanted to go. Let me get on out of here. I might do a live stream tomorrow because I had several other entertainment notes. I'm gonna talk about my TV stuff tomorrow. Once I check out the last couple episodes, I got to get updated on. Hey, man, pay me no mind. Sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Bite down boxing. Don't ever let them count you out. 1.